Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. I'm Belinda Sandor. Today, we're going to talk about how fear gets in the way of getting great clients. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Lessons from the Cockpit. For those of you joining me for the first time, I'm Belinda Sandor. I'm the founder of the VA Connection, where I coach and mentor aspiring and established VAs to create, grow, and scale their VA business. And I work with my students in my free online community, my courses, and my coaching programs. And today I'm going to be your host for Lessons from the Cockpit. And Lessons from the Cockpit is all about tactical and practical advice for virtual assistants. We try to really boil it down here, keep it simple so that you guys can really step into the success that you want. And I'd love to hear where you're coming in from. So let me know in the chat. I can see you pouring in. We are streaming everywhere, all the places, as they say. We are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, we are on Twitter, we are on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'd love for you to click the subscribe button and ring that bell, because we have lots and lots of free trainings every single week, and I don't want you to miss out. Okay. And we're also all over Facebook. So thank you for joining us. And today like I said, we're going to talk about fear and how it gets in the way of our success. And I'm going to give you some tips and some mindset shifts that will help you in this area. So come on in. Now, before we dive in, I want to introduce myself to you and tell you a little bit about my story. So this is me and my daughter, Emily, in 2010, when I was just starting my VA business, and my life had gotten really pretty off track. It was interesting because, I was always someone that liked order, and I followed the rules, and, I took care of things. And I had hit the milestones in my life that I had set for myself up until this point. And as I was sliding into 50, I thought, the targets or the goals, the achievements I wanted to have were very far away from me. And I wasn't exactly sure why. And so what I wanted was to own a home. What I wanted was to have a great job. I wanted to be married, happily married. I wanted to, I wanted to have savings for retirement underway, all the things. And what happened was like the polar opposite. I didn't have a job. I had a business that was failing. I didn't have retirement savings. I had 6 figures of debt trying to save my business and other things that were happening. I hadn't paid my taxes for 7 years, which I got to tell you, it's such an interesting thing. That doesn't, you don't wake up one day and say, let's shoot for 6 figures of debt and 7 years of back taxes. What really happens is, the first year you don't have enough to pay for the taxes, and you think, okay, well, you know what? I'll be able to do this next month. And then you can't. And here's the thing that I've learned recently by talking about this is that the real problem was that I didn't want to file the taxes until I could pay all the taxes. And what I didn't realize was I was getting myself in worse trouble and that I was never going to have $20,000 all at one time. And then I needed to pay it over time. And I was holding myself to a standard that was not reachable by a normal, human being. And we're going to talk about that today as well, because that's what happens. That's part of the fear. And so, I'm in this kind of mess, and I know I need to turn my life around. I need to pay down the debt. I had to sell my home because I hadn't been able to pay the mortgage for over a year, and everything is in chaos, and I am so uncomfortable. But I decided to go back to my roots, which was admin work. I was a secretary back in the dark ages, when that's what they called us. I went to secretarial school. I knew how to type. I knew how to figure things out. I really liked helping people. And I thought that I could start a business doing this. I had no idea what I was doing, no idea. But I did know that I needed to, having a job wasn't going to cut it. To overcome what I needed to overcome, I couldn't get a job for $50,000, $60,000, even $70,000 a year and not be in charge of how much money I made. And, you go into some kind of annual review and they give you 3% or whatever. And, I had great bosses. I had great experiences in corporate. I was very happy there, but I wanted to be a mom to this little delish here. And you can't do that easily when you're in corporate, right? And because it was never 9 to 5, it was, 9 to 6 or 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And, there's a small window when children this age are awake, and I didn't want to miss that. And I didn't want to be like sliding in and like rushing through dinner and getting in the bath and, all the things. That's not the lifestyle that I wanted for me. And it's not the lifestyle I wanted for Emily. And so I had to figure it out. So I started to tell everybody I knew what I was up to. I knew I had to get the word out. I was not comfortable doing that. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today. But the thing is that I did know that staying at home, at my little desk with my computer and being really good at admin work wasn't going to be enough to make money. I had to figure out how to get the clients, and I had to work through all the things we're going to talk about today to make that happen. And so the first client I actually got at the school bus stop. And the reason I love this is because all of the clients that I've worked with, they've come to me in very sort of natural ways. Someone told them about me, or I met them at a party or a networking event or something like that. There was never cold calling. There was never knocking on people's doors. There was never selling or jamming it down someone's throat. That isn't the way it's done. People hate that. Right? Not only do they hate it, they we don't want to do it, right? We don't want to do that. So it's really important to pay attention to what I'm saying today and listen with ears that are open-minded, okay? Because the last thing we're going to do is be icky, spammy, salesy, or bug people. We are not going to do any of that, okay? So let's dive in a little bit more about this. And one of the things that I want to tell you is that over on the blog, if you haven't been to our website, thevaconnection.com, click on the blog. We are close to hitting 200 articles over there. I just noticed on Monday when I sent out the last newsletter, it was like 190 something. So there is a wealth of information over there. So definitely check it out. Okay. And so fast forward, and I'm going to tell you what happened in between. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. But I leaned in and I changed my mindset. Mindset was the thing. I already knew how to type. Right? You don't need a lot of high-tech skills to be a virtual assistant. Some clients want that, but there are many, many who don't need that. They need you to organize something, figure it out, really practical, commonsensical things that you already know how to do or can figure out with a quick Google search. So that's not the issue. The issue is the mindset. Right? That is the issue. And so I started with keeping my word to myself. I started to trust myself when I did that. When I said I was going to do something, I did it. And sometimes that meant getting out of bed or getting up early. It's not convenient to start a business, but boy, it is really fabulous to have a successful business with money coming in and flexibility. And the thing is that it's all worth it. It's all worth it to have this kind of lifestyle. So I've been in business as a virtual assistant since 2010. I worked with over 225 clients. And I want to say something else about that. I probably had 600 discovery calls. So if you're having a bunch of discovery calls and they're not converting to clients, definitely try to figure out what's going on. Is there something about, and we're going to talk about those things today, but is there something going on there? But the truth is way more people, either I said no to them or they said no to me, than said yes. So, just be gentle with yourself when you're getting started. That's the way that it works. And the thing is that as a virtual assistant, working with my clients over the course of 10 years, I didn't earn, right? I love that nuance there. It's not earning, it's creating, right? I created over $1 million sitting in the chair I'm sitting in right now, like no kidding, in a little corner of my house. Now there was more to it, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And that's what I'm going to teach you. And this system that I developed for my own business is exactly what I teach at the VA Connection. All right, good. And so today is a different picture. Today is a different picture, having walked through the mindset work, having done the things we're going to talk about today. And this is what my life looks like now, 13 years later. I have, I'm not scraping by with minimum payments. I have a thriving business that I built one day at a time. That's how you do it, one day at a time. And it's important not to just look for that quick fix. In fact, I wrote an article about that on Monday. And if you haven't read it, check it out on the blog, or if you're on our email list, look at it, because it talks about the process that I went through. And so this is us. This is my family on our wedding day. I got married at 60 to the man I've been looking for 40 something years. And it's amazing. It's amazing. And if you're ready to get started, no matter what age, you can do that too. And I want to share with you my latest news, which this was something when I'm selling my home at 50, and I cannot believe that, that I'm not a homeowner anymore. And I had to rent some pretty not great places for a while until I settled here. But I never wanted to stay where I am now in Connecticut. I always wanted to move and have some land and an old farmhouse to restore, and to bring life back to something, and to garden, and we have chickens, and to get a bunch more chickens, and just to have some space. And a week ago yesterday, Greg and I, after really a 13-year journey to get here, closed on this house. Things had to happen. Like I had to heal my credit. I had to pay the back taxes. I had, there were a million things. I had to shift my mindset in order to make it happen. So again, this whole quick fix thing, like, oh, if I just meet with this person, they know a lot of people and I'll have all the business in the world. It doesn't work like that. It's a much more gradual thing, which does not mean you can't start making money right away. You can. And then you have to stick with what we're going to talk about today. All right. So I see a lot of people are here. So Sabrina's here from Connecticut, and Amy's in Texas. Heather is here. She's in Chattanooga, and George from North Carolina. Someone says they're from here from the hospital in Tennessee. I bet that's Becky. Hello. And Jane is here from England. So thank you for coming. And I'd love to hear what you think about this in the chat. I'd love for this to be a dialogue. So, and a lot of people are asking me, when are we moving? We're going to be moved in by the end of March. So we're going to do it a little bit at a time, so that we can, because we have other responsibilities, right? We have our work, we have things going on here. And, so a lot of people might have moved overnight, but that would not work for us. So we're doing it gradually. And so it's pretty exciting. Yeah, thank you. So Kendra's here from South Africa. So hello. And Carol's here from Montana. Yeah. And Kathy says, congrats on getting your dream house. Thank you. Yeah. It's, I was talking to someone this morning. What's interesting, and you have to do this, is that, so for a long time, I wanted to be a homeowner. So I was a person who wanted a home. And so there was the mindset shift in figuring out how to make that happen. And so we did. And there was a lot of energy that went into that. Like I could talk about it all day long and tell you about all the houses we saw, all of the discussions we had, all of the fears we had, all of the things, and we had to walk through that. And so now both Greg and I were different people. And so now I have to shift, right? I have to shift and start making decisions from the point of a person who achieved this goal with my husband. It brought us closer together. And now we're stepping into this new chapter, and we're homeowners, right? We're not someone who wants a home, we're homeowners. And so it's very important to celebrate those changes. So you could be someone who wants a client, and and then you get one, and you have a client, and you have to really take that in and shift. And we've owned the house for 8 days. And I'm thinking about that a lot. It's sort of percolating in the back. Like, how do I filter this in? And people are asking me, why are you leaving Connecticut? And I have to think about that. Like, I know inside of me why I'm leaving, but to be able to articulate it in a clear way, in the way that I want, I have to think about that. Just like what we're going to talk about in a minute when we talk about your work, right? And I think part of that comes from being an introvert. I'm pretty introverted, and I know a lot of you are too. But we have that processing time ahead of time that puts us in a good place. All right. So let's jump ahead. All right. So when you're starting a business as a virtual assistant, there are a lot of scary things. Now, they're very simple when you boil them down, but they're scary. And I know that we have a tendency as human beings to attach other baggage to our decisions. So, for example, the first thing you need to do in order to work through your fear is to prepare ahead of time when someone asks you what you do for work. Okay. Now, here's what some of you will do. You'll say, I can't tell anyone about my work because I don't have a business card. I don't have a website. My LinkedIn isn't finished, blah, 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 blah. So I can't tell anybody what I'm up to. So I'm going to hide until it's all done. And then when it's all perfect, which is going to be never, I'll tell people about my work. Okay. So you got to cut through that, and you have to just take the words that I'm saying and then stop what's going on in your head, right? This is critical. So the first thing you want to be able to do is talk about your work in a clear, simple way. I teach you all about that at the VA Connection in blog posts, and we're going to have our Kickstart challenge next week. So if you haven't signed up for that already, go ahead and sign up for that. I'll give you the information in a minute. You can go to vakickstart.com, vakickstart.com. But on the second day of that 5-day challenge, we're going to talk specifically about this. Really, really critical. All right. Now, the second thing you have to do to create a successful business is grow your email list. You have to ask everybody you know for their email address. When you meet someone new, I want you to ask them for their email address, because this is gold. I am not kidding. And there are a lot of people on the internet talking about that these days. And you know, it's something that I knew just from past experience, and it's what do I want to say? Algorithm agnostic. There you go. That's a big word. Algorithm agnostic. And what that means is it doesn't matter if it's Facebook, if it's LinkedIn, if whatever it is, if you have an email list, you can reach your people. You can reach your people. And that is critical, because think about this. When I started my business as a virtual assistant, there was no Google. Like, think about how much the world has changed. There was Yahoo, right? There was no Shopify. There was not, like, all of these things that we take for granted. There was no Waze, you know? So don't tie your wagon to something that you're not in charge of. You are in charge of your email list. So you have to create that. And again, there's a ton of information about that. All right. Now, the third thing that you have to do is tell everyone you know about your business. So let me give you an example of this. All right. Let's say you go to church and you're walking out the back door, and the pastor, minister, priest, whoever is, you know, shaking everyone's hand or whatever the ritual is in your particular situation. You can do this at the grocery store. You can do this at the doctor. You can do this anywhere. So you're walking out, and the pastor, you know, shakes your hand or whatever he or she does, and says, you know, how are you? And I want you to say, I'm great. I just started a business as a virtual assistant, and I'm so excited. Right? That's how you tell everybody. When someone you haven't seen in the grocery store, you bump into them, they're like, how are you? Don't say fine. Say, I'm so excited. I just started a business. I cannot wait for it to take off. I'm doing this and I'm doing that. Don't talk a lot, but let them know what you're doing in a clear, simple way. All right. That's how you tell everybody you know. It's not like you approach them and you start talking like you're a business machine. You make it yourself approachable. I've been hired by my dry cleaner, my daughter's driving school owner. You know, I've been hired by all kinds of people because of this approach that I'm not uptight. I'm not flipping out. I'm just telling them, you know, like if you walked up to somebody at a party and you said, what do you do? And they were a dentist, they'd say, I'm a dentist. I specialize in gum surgery. Right? That doesn't mean I need gum surgery and he's asking me to have gum surgery. See how bizarre that is, how we do that? Okay. So you are what you are, you know, you are what you are. And then the next thing that you need to do, so talk about your work in a clear, simple way, create your email newsletter list, right? Your email list, tell everyone you know about your business, and then stay in touch with them. Stay in touch with them. You can do this in a lot of different ways. Email is the most effective. You can do it on social media. And you can see here, there's nothing difficult. It's simple. Anybody could do it. But it's like, but if it's so simple, why is this a big deal? Like, why is this a big deal? And I want to talk about that. All right. The first reason is we're afraid to try. Right? We're afraid to try because, like anything else, it's scary when we're doing something for the first time, right? It's scary. It's human nature to avoid risky activities, right? So instead of focusing on what will work, we focus on what won't work to justify our inaction. Okay. So if you've ever uttered one of these phrases, this is you. Like, I don't know anyone who needs a VA, right? I can't charge that much. No one will pay me to help them. I don't have the right experience. I can't fill in the blank. If those words are coming out of your mouth, you're afraid to try. You're afraid to try, right? And so the thing is that that's okay. But do you want to stay where you are because you're afraid to try? Right? It's because it's the momentum that gets it going. Like, think about a baby walking. I talk about this a lot, but like, a baby doesn't sit up in their crib one day and say, I'm ready. I've been watching those adults and I know what to do, and I'm going to get it right the very first time. And I'm just going to, go across the floor. No, that's not what they do. They stand up, they take a step, they fall. They stand up, they take a step, they fall. Let me tell you this. So when I started the VA connection, I had no idea what I was doing. I was afraid of the camera. I was afraid to say what I thought. It was a whole different thing. I would have live streams just like this one here, and no one would show up. And the whole time I'm doing it, I'm thinking, should I keep going? Is anyone going to see this? Like, I didn't understand the power of the replay. I didn't understand any of this. So I am freaking out, and I'm doing the live stream, and I can't even think. And my brain is, and now look where we are. Look where we are because I said, okay, that didn't work. What am I going to do now? Maybe I have to change the topic. Maybe I have to do it at a different time. Maybe I just need to keep doing it. Maybe I need to write more newsletters. Maybe, and one of the things I did was I thought, I'm going to speak at the local library about what is a virtual assistant. I'm going to start educating people. And I did, and people started signing up for my classes, and then it grew. It wasn't like I woke up one day and I was where I am now. And you actually don't want that. And the reason you don't want that is because you wouldn't be able to handle it. If someone said to me in 2019, when I founded the VA Connection, you have a live stream at 10, you have a meeting at this, and you have something else at that, I would have exploded. You have to build it a little over time so that you can adjust it and understand it and grow with it. Because the mindset shift that has to happen throughout this, it can't happen all at once. I couldn't have gone from being scared to be on camera to the point where, like, well, that's a whole different topic, but it was freaking me out to actually just turning the camera on 20 minutes ago and saying, okay, I know what I'm going to talk about. Let's go. Now I have notes. Like, I'm not pulling this out of my head. I need that. Right. But the thing is that's how you do it. You have to do it scared. You just have to. The second thing that gets in the way is being worried about what other people are going to think. How many of you are worried about what other people are going to think? They're going to be like, oh, look what she's doing now, right? I get that. I had completely blown up a business before this. I had gotten myself into debt trying for 8 years to make this business work, spent a ton of money, and now I'm going to start something new. Everyone told me to get a job. They're like, no, that's not for you. Business owner's not for you, right? And I was listening to them, but I found one person who said to me, you can do this. I'm going to help you. And I did, and he did, and here we are, right? So the thing is that you can't be looking for why it's not going to work. The question that you need to shift to is, I'm doing this. How am I going to do it? What's my next step? How can I make this work? I didn't put the camera in the box in the basement after no one showed up for my live streams. That happened for months and months and months. And I didn't know what to do. Well, I hired a coach, right? I hired a coach, someone who already knew how to do it. And she got me there really fast, right? And she helped me with the path. I didn't know what the path was. And that's what I'm here to help you with, is the path, knowing what to do first, knowing what to do next, right? And building it together, because I already fell in all the holes. Believe me, I fell in all the holes. So let's get back to this worrying about what people are thinking. I'm just going to boil this down. Most people are not worried about are not thinking about what you're doing. They're worried about what other people think about them. So if you can just try to quiet that noise, or what I usually do is I limit the number of people I talk to about it. So on one hand, yes, you want to tell everyone about your business, but telling them about your business is different from asking their advice. Do you think this is going to work? Do you think I can do it? Don't do that, because people they'll get it all in your stuff, and you need to keep your energy really clean and really focused. I'm starting a business. I'm going to make $3,000, $5,000, $7,000 a month. This is what I'm going to do. What do I do next? Right? That's the conversation in your mind. And here's the thing: the people closest to you are the ones that are going to try to talk you out of it. Your mother, your spouse, your best friends. You know why? Two reasons. One, they're trying to protect you. Two, they don't have the guts to do it. And if you do it, what's that going to say about them? Right? It's human nature. It's human nature. So really, you need to just decide. You need to decide. Everybody said to me, do not start Rocket Girl Solutions. That's my VA business. They told me not to call it that. They told me, I have different friends now. I have different friends because, I just stopped telling everybody and I stopped asking everyone's opinion. You know what you need to do. I just told you, right? And if you need help, I'll help you. But here's where everybody trips, right? Because I told you 4 simple things. They're not difficult, right? But we overcomplicate it. And I gave you that example earlier. Like, I can't tell anyone about my business because I don't have a business card or LinkedIn. Or, I don't have all this stuff, which is going to take too long. Now, the thing is that I started in 2010. It wasn't until 2016 that my business was fully set up. Now, I had at that point 35 clients, so I had plenty of work. That wasn't the thing, but I didn't have Calendly set up yet. I didn't have the debit card system for over a year. I had to figure it out, right? I tried all these other methods of payments. So you guys have everything at your fingertips to do this, but it can't be perfect before you start, because you're going to learn. You're going to learn about yourself. You're going to learn about your business. You're going to learn about your clients, and you're going to make adjustments. Adjustments are normal. They're just a part of the fun, right? Once you stop, hold on, I'll find the word. Once you stop scolding yourself for not being perfect, scolding, okay? So it might seem, it might be a part of your nature to overcomplicate things, and you're going to have to learn to stop that, right? And all of these things that are happening in your head, you just have to learn to talk to yourself in a nice way. So if you hear yourself, going off on something or reliving something that happened in the past or worrying about things that happen in the future, you have to say to yourself, we're not doing that right now. We are not reliving that relationship. We are not reliving that boss. We are not reliving any of that. We are here to take a deep breath, put on some music, relax in our, in our chair, and think about, what's my next move? What am I going to do now? And do one thing at a time until you build your business. Okay. And, in the end, getting clients comes down to mindset. It comes down to mindset. And if you believe in yourself and take consistent action, fear won't get the best of you, right? Fear won't get the best of you. And, I want you to trust me here. You can have as many clients as you want. They are everywhere. And the thing is that this is the biggest mindset shift. And I want you to listen carefully to this. You are the solution to someone else's problem. You're not wandering around like, oh no, is someone going to hire me? I need someone to hire me. No. That's not the deal. The deal is there are people walking around saying, I need help. I am overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And they need you. They need you. So it's a win-win. So that whole mindset of like, I can't, and all of that, you just need to push that aside. And you can do that. You can do that, because I used to be a championship warrior. I was find everything that was wrong in the world and point it out all day long. I complained a lot. I did all of those things that are just human nature. But I decided that it wasn't getting me where I wanted to be. That's all of that got me 6 figures in debt, right? That's what that did. So really lean into the 4 things we talked about today and get started. There's a ton of information on the blog. If you go over to YouTube, we're close to 700 videos over there, all on these topics. Just search in the YouTube channel for getting clients. I think there's a whole playlist, right? So definitely go and check that out. All right. So there's one other thing I want to tell you about before we go. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. So in the spirit of, I want to help you get great clients into your business, we are hosting a 5-day free training starting Monday. Okay. It's called the Kickstart Your VA Business and you can go over to vakickstart.com and sign up. Okay. So we're going to talk about what services to offer. We're going to talk about all the things the 4 things that we talked about here, and we're going to talk about them in depth. This isn't just like fluff, fluff, fluff. We're going to go deep, and we're going to talk about the why and the how. So we're going to talk about services you can offer. We're going to talk about how to talk about your work so people can understand, because a lot of what happens is when you're not prepared, people ask and you just start talking, and completely overwhelm them, and you're doing yourself a disservice. So we nail that. We talk about where clients are and where to put yourself so they can find you. And I guarantee you it is not where you think or what you've heard on the internet. On the 4th day, on Thursday, we are going to talk about the success systems that you need and to be a successful VA. And I'm opening doors for enrollment of my signature course, VA School. It's a 9-month program where I teach you everything you need to know to have a successful business. And here's the thing. We talked about this a little earlier. It's not just a bunch of pre-recorded stuff. It's a path. And I am standing on the path with you. We have hours and hours every single week of Zoom where we are in the room together. It's not like me big on the screen and we can't see the other participants. It's a conversation. And it happens multiple times every week. So you can get your question specific to you, because we all have these specific questions, right? Well, what about this? And I will help you. So that happens on Thursday. And then on Friday, we're going to have an epic Q&A all about all things virtual assistants, but specifically how to start your business. We have mindset sessions every morning. I think they're at 11 o'clock. If you sign up for this at vakickstart.com, you can download the whole calendar. All right. So we have 2 things. So 3 things. Karen says, everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear, 100%. And then someone says, I can't see who it is. Thank you so much for this. I'm signed up for next week's training. I can't wait. That's great. Good for you. And then Debbie says, I'm going to just put this up so we can all read it together. How do I prove I can do what I say I can do with no clients in a certain area? Okay. So Debbie, come to the training next week. And that's a really good question. So here's the thing. Having your own business is not anything at all like having a job. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have a resume. You have a conversation with someone and they say, I need help putting posts on my blog. Can you do that? And it's kind of yes or no, or I can learn, or would you show me? And then you do the work. People are not, they're not interviewing you. They're talking to you. And yes, they're going to have questions, but no one has asked me, can I prove that I can do something? It's not an adversarial relationship at all. It's more like, I need help with this. I heard you're a virtual assistant. Do you know how to do this? Have you done this before? Can you help me? And a lot of times it doesn't even matter if you've done it before, if you're willing to figure it out. I didn't say this in my story earlier, but my second client, he hired me and he wanted me to do something that I didn't know how to do. And he said, I'll pay you to figure it out because I don't want to. That happens a lot. Okay. So it sounds like the mindset shift really needs to happen in terms of what the relationship is, what the relationship is. Think about it this way. I always use the dentist. I love my dentist, but I've never gone to the dentist. And when he said, I'm going to fill your cavity, said to him, how many have you filled? Do you know how to do this? It's not like that they've come to you, they've been referred to you in some way or another, which is what we're going to learn about next week. And it's a much nicer conversation. So I think it's going to be a relief for you. It's going to be a relief. All right, good. Okay, so sign up for the Kickstart Challenge. I'll see you guys all over the place this week. We've got this training. This training we don't have this week because we're going to have so many trainings for the Kickstart next week. But come to the mindset sessions. We added those several months ago, and I think they're very important because I help you get your brain and your heart in the right place in order to take in what I'm teaching you, because the mindset is so critical. All right, thanks for coming today. Thanks for your questions and your comments. I'm Belinda Sandor signing off for now. Bye-bye.